I began the year 6 months pregnant. I felt anxious and nervous about potentially returning to school. I was already high risk for medical reasons, and being pregnant made me vulnerable to the virus. There were so many unknowns for me. This would be my first time as a mother. I didn't know how and when we would return to school. What would the day look like? How would the students interact with me? How would I get them the supplies they needed? We began the year with professional development, and in spite of administration's efforts to ease and quell our fears and doubts, I still felt stress rearing its ugly head. I knew what was coming. It was the act of balancing it all. Meetings, trainings, setting up our Google Classroom, calling parents, lesson planning, it all came tumbling down. One step at a time, I kept reminding myself. I can't do this by myself, kept resonating in my head like a broken record. My team and I worked long stretches of hours, reimagining school virtually. How would we bring the rigor? How would we bring warmth and reassurance when we all felt so unsure of the future? Structuring schedules, cutting and compromising on standards and curriculum, remembering to call their parents to remind them about leaving their cameras on so I could place a name to a face, it already felt so straining. Sometimes you just have to be brutally honest and say, I feel like I'm drowning, and that's okay. I tried to center myself for the students, for my baby, for the sake of my partner's state of mind, but especially for me. I wanted to extract myself from the chaos. An exit ticket or small group could wait. And I had glimmers of hope as the weeks passed. They were understanding the relationship between addition and subtraction using the number rack. They were making predictions on their own and using sentence frames. Did I see a complete sentence? Did they turn in their homework? But some days felt like the hardest months of the school year. Would I ever get through? Was it hopeless? So many text messages and unread emails piling up. Deadlines began to tower over me like a menacing ocean wave. And not to mention the endless streams of the media covering COVID, graphs and stats, so many fatalities and multiple warnings. Will it get better after November? Will it start going away soon? Work became a blur. I'd spend hours creating engaging math slides, not too much color, not too little. Is it too text heavy? We were powering through the curriculum near mid-October. It was their first IAB, and I was eager to see how they did. The numbers were low. It was time to reassess our approach. And I knew I had to prepare my sub for my maternity leave and math units for my team. I spent even more countless hours preparing for my hiatus with the baby. The passing of time felt slow and fast simultaneously. I thought I had more time. He was a month early. My legs were swollen, the skin beneath my eyes puffy, my back aching. It was time. A week later, I had my baby. His name was Rylan Jax Nunez, and I was his mother. And it was beautiful and chaotic all at once. It was storming for me. I finally had my baby in my arms, but I felt guilty for leaving my team with so much of what I would do for us. I had to shift my worries. I had a little one to take care of. 4 months blew by. My maternity leave was coming to an end, and during my leave, so much had happened. New trainings, new platforms, new Google Sheets to check off boxes on. It was all starting to rush back. My coach called me to prepare me for the influx. March 1st, my first day back, and I was starting my journey as a teacher again. I had to really search my brain for all the tricks and strategies I was using virtually. Wheel of names and engagement trackers, polls, chat boxes, constantly having them make connections. It was rough at first, but they were happy to see me and eager to meet my baby. Like a flower reopening at morning light, I was back on track. I wasn't too afraid to go deep again. I needed to remind them of my expectations. Cameras on, hands up. And man, did they grow. They grew with my sub, and I felt relief. They had learned so much in my absence, differencing on a number line, the concept of multiplication, number of groups, group size. They had told their stories from their lives and analyzed characters' motivations. I jumped right back in. And in spite of all the difficulties, they learned so much this year. They learned resilience and patience. They blossomed into techies. It wasn't just standards they took in a whole lot more. As I learned to teach virtually again, I still found ways to balance and find time with my baby.